stats because he wasn't really impactful because they just stopped handing him the ball. I think he finished off with 13 carries, and I think 7 to 9
13
of those.
carries for 46 yards.
Yeah, so I think 7 to 9, 6 to 9 was between that first drive when he scored a touchdown, and then they just
Hmm.
went down here from there. They just stopped giving him the ball,
Right.
and I remember you sending in the group chat about when Lamar just kept taking it and taking it and taking it,
Mm.
and I was like, I thought that's what y'all brought Henry for, you know.
It's like
That he
you
could
want
take that
Lamar to be your
down.
bruiser, exactly. I'm like, what is going on?
So so it was a good game. Um, it looked like because they kept making it a point during the game, during the telecast, that Baltimore has given the keys more to Lamar this season,
Mm.
and so you can say, as far as changing the plays, at the line and whatnot. But it looks like you can tell right now. I guess in week one, when it all breaks down, he's still gonna go to his legs,
Right.
which is kind of it's right now. I'm trying to Lamar's an enigma because in the playoffs, reason when they lost, well, they keep following the same formula versus KC. They keep passing, and it's not going to work because now you're trying to go tit for tat with Mahomes,
Right.
and it's not really that far as Mahomes was killing them. It's because it's really KC has a defense now too,
Yeah.
so you kind of playing it to their strength. But that's the thing about with Lamar. It's just it was a good game, but you want them to run more, you want him to pass more, and then when stuff starts shaking down, he's gonna depend on his legs more. It's just like he's an enigma, man. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, man. Coach, what's your thoughts on the game and Lamar with this new system for the Ravens?
I'm with Shawnee. Why bring in a running back if you're not going to use him, especially
Mm.
late in the game? That's all
Yeah.
Kansas City wants you to do is drop back. They got
Right.
pass rushers. And if they don't allow Henry to sort of take over, especially in the trenches in the third quarter, early in the third, you know, he should have had at least 20 carries, 20 to 25 carries.
Right.
You can't give them to him in the first quarter. You score, Kansas City score. Now you're trying to play catch up to Kansas City every time you got the ball. You can't do that. You need to keep Patrick Mahomes off the field. And the
Exactly.
best way to do that is running the ball. 4 yards to carry. Derrick Henry can stretch 4 yards, but you got to run. And to me, it comes down to play calling.
Right.
There's
Right.
nothing else. It's all play calling. They calling
Right.
them stupid plays. 1st and 10. I'd
Right.
rather do a 2 yard dive than a fucking 2 yard out. It makes no
Right.
sense. So
Right. Right. And again, I just think Lamar, again, just the physicality. I mean, those runs, it wasn't so much the hits that he was taking. He was running into defenders. Like, you just taking them head on. I mean, like, you're not Cam Newton with that
Exactly.
kind of size. So, I mean, get down or get out of bounds or whatever. Usually it's a scramble, so it's going to be interesting how this goes the rest of the season. I mean, he put up, nearly 400 yards of offense, so he's certainly going to, be good for the fantasy and for the stats. But again, will he remain upright? That's going to be certainly a question that they're going to have to address during the season. But it seems like Kansas City, it seemed like the same old. They're going to just kind of keep the train moving. And again, they're my preseason favorite to three-peat. And certainly, nothing's necessarily changed my perception of that as of yet. I expect Mahomes to get better certainly as the season goes on. Again, barring injury, but the whole AFC North, for the most part, certainly took some surprise losses. I was shocked that Cincinnati lost to the Patriots with the rookie starting QB being May. And so again, this is supposed to be the return of Joe Burrow, and again, very disappointing loss. I don't think anybody picked the Patriots to beat Cincinnati this year. So I mean, should Cincinnati be worried about Joe's return. They talk about his wrist. Is his wrist fully healed? That was probably for me the biggest shock of the week, and I had no idea that was going to go down. I definitely would have lost some money had I bet on it.
I just think Burrow and the Bengals, they starting to have a history of starting off the season slow.
Mhm.
Um, it's gonna be, you know, I know especially this was week one, so it was real strong and on Monday, overreaction Mondays. What really trips me out is there's gonna be some teams who's gonna be who's gonna be 0-2 after this week, and you're gonna see
Mhm.
some people they're gonna be questioning they can make the playoffs.
Right,
I was
right.
like, there's still 15 games left for the season. So, with the Bengals, I heard something interesting um, before the show that I think that for since 2007, the whole the total league passing yards was the lowest since 2007,
Mhm.
and it's I think it's a mixture of player, practice preseason, starters not practicing, and definitely this falls with the Bengals. Starters not practicing, and their star receiver not practicing because he holding out.
Right, right.
So they getting hit on both. So I think the Bengals will shape up. I'm trying to think. Matter of fact, now that I think about the AFC North, there's only one team that won. That was the Steelers.
Yeah, how about that?
So they own the North right now.
We are in first place in the North. Absolutely, I'm going. I'll ride it for as long as it. I'll ride as long as it lasts. But Trey Ferg, he surprised us with the Bengals. I think they got a wide receiver still holding out. So Chase played in the game, but I think their other big play receiver, I don't think he played in the game. So obviously that's going to impact some things. But so again, they got a contract dispute still going into the season, which you don't want. Which is why again, Dallas I think was certainly smart to certainly get their top wide receiver and quarterback signed. That's just a bad way to start the season out as well. So what do you?
You can't you can't win football games if your top players are not in the practice.
That's
You
right.
can't do it. I don't care how much you try to make up for it. It's just too hard to do in the NFL level because you have guys that are all pro not in the game, and football is about timing when it comes to passes. If you're not in practice all summer, you can't get your timing down with your quarterback.
Mhm.
And it makes a big difference. Even in the San Francisco game, you see now he dropped the touchdown pass
Mhm.
because he's not getting that football feel and touch. That plays a big part. So I think they're going to clean it up, but they're going to need everybody on deck. You
I
can't
hear you.
have stars sitting out. Not at those receivers and running backs. Those things. Yeah, you need everybody on deck, man. This time the season has begun, so Cincinnati need to figure it out, or they could be looking at New England because they have a defensive head coach, and he's a new Bill Belichick, so they're going to play for him.
Yeah, for sure. Now I'm going to jump around to some other sort of key matchups. So again, the next day I think was on a Friday. You had the Packers and the Eagles. Again, Jalen Hurts and Jordan Love got off. Love, he did suffer an injury in the game. They were talking about him possibly being out with an MCL for 3 to 4 weeks. But I was just reading prior to the show that he may be a starter for this coming Sunday. He might be in there. But again, good back and forth game. Certainly, and I think the Eagles, again, they might have gotten certainly one of the bigger acquisitions in the offseason, grabbing Saquon, 3 TDs in the game from him. In fact, he was the NFL Player of the Week, which I may dispute a little bit, but obviously he got certainly a big addition to help them win that game. We all see what happened with the Giants, with even though they got neighbors at wide receiver. Again, their issue may be Danny Dimes for the whole year. And, they may be regretting that they didn't move and try to get one of those top QBs certainly in the draft. So what was your thoughts of the game? I thought he played pretty well. I think him and Hurts, I think there was a lot of positives and whatnot. I just hope again they can stay healthy. Again, Green Bay, I think, was my preseason pick to win the division. So I'm hoping that they can rebound from that. But I thought it was a pretty good contest, and I believe that contest was in Brazil. So certainly the international flavor of the game. The only thing I saw was there was some problems with the field. Again, I guess there was some tough turf toe and just different things going on. That wasn't the greatest field to play on. Obviously, those are soccer fields, not necessarily NFL fields. So again, any thoughts from that matchup that you guys saw?
Yeah, I agree. The fields was terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
terrible. I
That's
think it
it.
was a
You,
bad field. It was a bad field during the Texans Colts game as well.
mhm.
I don't know what's going on, but you seeing a lot of slippage with these players.
Yeah, but again, these are what they call real football, right? Association football fields. They're not
Well,
necessarily
it makes sense because you see them soccer players after they score a goal and the way they slide on their knees,
exactly. Yeah,
and
it's
then
not
they go
meant to.
10
It's not.
yards on it. I'm like, well,
It's not meant for grip. That's for sure.
I'm like, it's a slick field.
Right.
You do that
Right.
in football, your whole shin be coming up pink. But
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think the Packers, because there was a similar issue like this that happened with the Jets. But you remember last year, the Jets, after Rodgers went down, they didn't upgrade their immediate quarterback
hmm
situation.
hmm
They knew they had QBs that was not going to deliver, but they still tried to play with them anyway. When I guess a silver lining about if your QB gets hurt, especially in the first game of the year, there's still there's a healthy amount of potential backups that you could choose from before they get sucked up by other teams.
Right.
And the Jets didn't do that. The Jets just stayed on their own QB roster, their depth chart, and obviously you know the rest will happen. The Packers, they need to. I hope they were paying attention to what the Jets didn't do. And okay, Love is going to be out. I don't know what 4 games they said, something like
But
that.
it's saying to he might be he might be a game time decision. He could be back. If he doesn't, they got Malik
Let
Willis.
that boy.
They got Malik Willis from the Titans, so he
Yeah,
would certainly get the start if Love doesn't go. But the coach is basically leaving that door open. We'll see what happens. Tomorrow, Thursday is when they usually start to make the
let
decisions.
that man heal. I remember
Yeah, I
the
hear you.
Cowboys did that with Zeke. Kept him had a bruised knee and he wasn't the same. You saw his skills just deteriorating every game, and
Deteriorate.
they kept playing him. Like, man,
Right.
go sit down.
Right.
It's the first game of the year. You got 16 more. Sit down for a couple of games. Get that knee healthy, especially at that position.
Right.
But yeah, I think they need to go. If Malik Willis is not the answer, because what you don't want to do is go like, say if he does miss 4 games, you don't want to go like 1-3 while he's gone, because
Right.
now you can what did they no they lost that game, didn't they? Game 1.
Green Bay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So if they could potentially start the season 1-4. Now that I know I was talking about 0-2, but 1-4 is a nice little hole in the NFL to be in. So you don't want to do that. So you will hope that your backup QB can at least have you go 500. So if you don't believe Malik Willis is that dude who can have you go 500, take advantage now to go try to find a backup QB out there that can, hell, go get what's his name again? One who was with the Browns last year and led them,
No.
Flacco.
Oh, yeah.
Man, if Flacco can go lead you to 500.
He still got an arm. The arm's the last thing to go. He'll throw it for you. He may not run for you, but he'll
He'll be
definitely
back.
he'll throw it in the air. Throw it in the air
He'll be
for you.
back in Cleveland before the season is over with.
Yeah,
He'll be back over.
we'll get
I
to
hear
that.
you. I hear you. So,
I think with teams like
yeah, go ahead.
I think Philadelphia is probably they have the best acquisition in the offseason. When you take all pro running back, somebody who has something to prove, and he feels disrespected by the Giants,
Mhm.
they totally disrespected him.
Yeah.
And I bet they right now are realizing they made a big mistake with Daniel Jones.
Mhm.
He's no better. Daniel Jones is no better. They could have went out and got a rookie. They should have got a rookie, but hey, they did what they did.
Mhm.
And Philadelphia, they're going to run the ball. they are going to run the ball, and it's going to show. I think Philadelphia will still be at the top in the NFC. They'll be fighting for home field advantage. But again, it's early in the season, man. You don't NFL don't start to the fourth game, so
Mm.
it's going to be a lot of good football. Hopefully, everybody stays healthy so we can sort of iron this thing out over the next couple of weeks. But
I heard that. I heard that.
so
Let's move
yeah,
on to a couple other games of interest. I'm not going to go through summarize every game. Just kind of taking some of the highlights that I saw. Obviously, everybody was anticipating, and again, I also chose these guys to win their division. Jets and 49ers. Again, no Christian McCaffrey for the 49ers, but it didn't seem to be a problem because their guy came in, Jordan Mason, 28 carries for 147 yards. So he balled out. So it's I know McCaffrey is one of the highest paid running backs in the NFL. Not sure how long these injuries will linger. Plus, they also got a chance to see Aaron Rodgers return. I didn't think he looked great, but you could see the throws, like especially when he with that lone touchdown drive they had. I mean, he still got the touch. He can still put it in places where nobody can get to. I still think that like Green Bay, I think they'll get better, or like Cincinnati, I think they'll get better as the year goes on. I think again you're talking about nearly 2 years of rust on Aaron Rodgers coming out. San Francisco. I mean, they certainly I thought their defense certainly played up to par. Brock Purdy, again, serviceable game, 19 for 29, 239 yards, no touchdowns but no interceptions. So I think he managed the game. Obviously, the running back got the bulk of the work. But certainly, I think that from what I saw from Rodgers, again, if he can stay upright, I think that once they kind of get turning, I think they can make some noise. Because I thought that whole division was going to lose. I thought Miami was losing big early on until they came back towards the end to win that. And we're going to talk about all these things that happened around that game. And Buffalo was losing also. They had to come back and pull that out. So I thought the Jets were, so I think that's going to be just a very competitive division going forward.
Jets look too soft. The Jets are too soft. They look too small to me. They look too soft. They just didn't. San Francisco had their way with them, and we just talked about Derrick Henry. That's how many times Derrick Henry should get the ball, just like this rookie.
Right. Yeah.
And when I saw something right before the game, I saw him hug his mother. When I saw him hug his mother, I immediately went to, he's going to have a great game today. I immediately went to that because when you can get that type of support in the game, like right there, it sort of relaxes you, and it puts him in the moment, and he took advantage of it. And they're gonna have a hard decision to make.
Right.
He's injury prone, so.
Right. I hear you. Just moving back over to the let's see. Let's go back over to the I guess the AFC North. So obviously Cleveland Browns, they got destroyed by the Cowboys. So we can take this in two directions. One, again, we can talk about Cowboys got their guy with the again Dak Prescott signed just before game time, and so certainly I'm sure that, and he definitely Cowboys delivered. I thought the Cowboys looked good. On the flip side, Deshaun Watson, again, there's another alleged SA charge that he's been accused of and whatnot. So the question is, for the Browns, is this the end of the line for Watson? I mean, they paid him a huge guaranteed contract. What do you think Cleveland goes from here? What do you think is his prospects for the year? What do we go from here? Because this is not obviously the start that they wanted. Not only losing the game, but having yet another controversy after taking all that risk to sign him. Is this the end of the line for Watson? What do you think Cleveland does from here?
Man,
go ahead, Sean.
Man, being like a Texans fan, you saw Watson playing for the Texans, and it wasn't like he had he had DeAndre Hopkins, but you remember they traded Hopkins away. Right. So that 2020 season when he threw over 5,000 yards, he didn't have Hopkins, but you just saw what type of magic player that he was. I mean, he was damn near on the level as Patrick Mahomes the way he was playing.
Yeah.
During his Texans years.
Yeah.
And then, you play in that position, you have to. I know we was talking about preseason reps and how starters now coming out the gate slow. Well, you remember he didn't play for the Texans before everything else came out. He didn't want to play for them, so he already sat a year out.
Mhm.
And then the suspension came when all the off the field stuff came out, and he missed another 11 games. So he almost missed 2 years of football with some sprinkle in some games before that suspension. That's a lot to miss for a quarterback. And then obviously when he came back, I think basically in the end, he only played before this season started, he only played 12 games for the Browns in 3 years.
Mhm.
That's so the Browns are already going through it with that. I mean, you paying this dude the most before Dak's contract, basically the most ever, a ridiculous contract, and the dude is not playing on the field. He can't be on the field. They already knew about the suspension, so that's how they constructed that contract.
Mhm.
But then they haven't got nothing since.
Right.
And so I've been always hopeful, like, okay, dude, just remind these people who you are. Go back and show these boys how you was in Houston. Are you hearing all these AFC North quarterbacks with Lamar and Pittsburgh still trying to figure it out, and with Burrow, dude, you was on that level, if not higher. Go back and remind. And he's just, my goodness, man. Even though I was happy the Cowboys won, I'm looking at Watson like, damn, dude, you done fell off. You damn
Yeah.
near fall off.
Right.
So as far as the Browns, what they do, because right now, you got this new accusation out there now. Pretty much, if Watson, I think I mentioned this last week, if Watson don't produce, because he's never gonna live up to that contract.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just too much now. If he doesn't produce this season, will the Browns get rid of him and just totally eat that salary? I don't know. That's a lot of money to eat up. But if they do, I do not think Watson get picked up by another NFL team. Because they, even if it comes as a backup, because they don't want to deal with all the off the field stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
basically like it's either this or you're gone.
That's the end of the line. End of the
Yeah.
line.
So
And
that's
then
unfortunate.
you have the Browns again. It would just mark yet another season of just in
That organization, they
quarterback
just
play.
can't
I
get
don't know.
right,
They've
man.
had like
They
20
can't get
quarterbacks
right,
in
man.
20 years or something. They just can't.
And the thing about it, to top it off, the dude that they got rid of to bring in Watson, he bounced a couple of teams because them teams didn't know what they do with him.
Right.
Now he's having a better 2 years. Last year and then this year, having a better season than Watson. That's Mayfield.
Yeah.
So it's just,
yeah, and he's definitely on my. That's definitely Baker's definitely on my highlight. I would certainly want to lift him up. But Trey Ferg, again, what do you think of this Washington situation? The Browns, again, it's just franchise just snake bit, man. I've never seen a team with so much. Since the 19, and we go back to that 1987 AFC Championship game. The drive, Denver Broncos drive 98 yards to beat the Browns. That's the closest they got to the Super Bowl, and we haven't seen anything. They haven't come close since to that. So maybe it's the curse. Maybe it's the curse of the drive. I have no idea.
They need a LeBron to save that team.
Winning cures a lot of off-field drama. Winning does. It's ironic that they had all summer, all off season when he was out to do all of this. Now they lose a game, and now here come a lawsuit. I don't know.
Oh yeah, even the original.
Winning. Yeah. If he doesn't win any of these first 4 games, I think they're just going to, again, wash their hands of him. And then he's going to be dealt to the legal process. I don't think that he will finish. If he doesn't win, I don't think he'll finish the season with the team. I think they'll release him early and just take that hit as far as the salary cap and try to rebuild. But it's just unfortunate, man, that it's the same type of incidents. Who's in your corner?
I think this one is a little bit higher than the other ones.
But it was a date.
Yeah.
A massage. Okay, but the female even did it crazy. He invited you on a date. You didn't want to do that. You said, come to my house, I'll cook you dinner. It makes no sense. And then he gets over damn near, I don't know what, he had to pull his wood out like, you want some of this Cleveland wood or something. It makes no sense that you would put yourself in a situation like that. You going over somebody's house. I know that you don't act the food over like it. I mean, it just makes no sense. But
I think he's just unfortunately for that dude, man. He's a mark dude.
yeah,
I mean, they just coming after him. He's getting he just got a bullseye on his back.
yeah,
and he just got a bullseye on his back, and they just taking advantage of it. And it, like you say, it seems like it comes at the
when
he's most down.
yeah,
When all the big lawsuits came, it was when he was going through it with the Texans and he was sitting out.
Right.
And then also now people wondering about how long you're gonna still be the Browns quarterback, and then you lose your first game. He can't just go watch the film and just study. Now he got this new accusation. He got to put it. I mean, I was like, dude, you a marked man, man. Somebody, I don't. They just
and
won't
it's
leave it
unfortunate
alone.
because you can see the pressure. You know what I'm saying? You can see the pressure on him when he's out there. He
Yeah.
doesn't look as fluid as he did.
Completely
before.
different. He was
You know?
always smiling when he was
Yeah.
coming out of college, and then his time in Houston.
Yeah.
And now this dude, I'm like, I think that'll happen to anybody. And I remember when it all started. They was trying to settle. He's like, I'm not gonna settle this. I didn't do nothing.
Yeah.
But that's when like the first one came out. We didn't know it was like excluding this one. 21 more was gonna come out.
Damn.
I was like, damn, Doc,
That's a lot.
Yeah. And now his face just looks saggy, man. In the age of 30 years, man.
Yeah, I hear you. Tough situation. Hopefully he can pull it together. But the Browns. That's just, if you're a Browns fan, so that's misery, man. That comes with it. But
need a LeBron.
I hear you, man. I hear you. But wanted to change focus a little bit. Obviously, we had a lot of first year rookie and second year QBs who got to start this year. Obviously, they're probably the two most high profile from this draft, because May, actually, he didn't play in that New England game. It was actually Brissett who actually played in that game. But obviously, you got Jaden Daniels, certainly for Washington, and you had Caleb Williams for the Bears. The Bears won their game, but again, fairly pedestrian numbers for the Bears. And so I think his numbers were 14 for 29, only 93 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And for Jaden Daniels, his numbers, again, fairly pedestrian, 17 for 24 for $184, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. If you guys had a chance to see those guys, who do you think had the better, I guess the better start? I mean, it's always good to, start your career with a win. But neither one of these guys necessarily flashed in their opener or whatnot. But just from what you were able to see, did any one of those guys capture your interest? You also had, I know Houston played the Colts, and so Richardson and C.J. Stroud, again, both of those guys are second-year guys. They came out. I think C.J. probably played the best, certainly out of those second-year starters this weekend. But what were your thoughts on the rookies and their overall performance?
Well, first, before I get to the rookies, and I was watching that Texans Colts game. Richardson made a hell of a throw. He stumbled, and as soon as he came out of his stumble, he threw like 62, 63 yards on the fly.
Wow.
For a touchdown. I was like, I knew he had an arm, but I mean, it was just with ease. It was a perfect pass. So he definitely shined. But Texans, Stroud did his thing, but I like they had a running game, so I like that exists now. But
Joe Mixon went 30 for 159. So
I got him on one of my fantasy squad, so he definitely came through.
Good for you.
But between the two rookies, Williams and Daniels, by far Daniels had a better week. it wasn't like lights out, but at least he was responsible for a touchdown. I think for 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he
Mm.
scored a couple of them.
Yeah, Williams did nothing. Matter of fact, Williams looked he played fairly bad. His defense bailed him out. They
Yeah.
bailed him out a lot because like a fumble and scoop and score.
Scoop and score. Yeah. Yep.
But it's a rookie first game, man. I think they both gonna grow. I forgot who the Commanders was playing because I'm trying to think about their defense and whatnot. But yeah, I think out of week one, Daniels had the better game, but it remains to be. I think the thing with Williams, because you know why he was at USC, his thing was he'll try to use that as athleticism. He likes to dance around and look for the home run play. I remember Watson used to do that his early years with Houston. The thing you're gonna find out real quick in the NFL, you ain't gonna be doing all that. The thing about with Lamar, he doesn't like run around a lot. If he gonna run, he takes off. And so because you try to dance around a lot, a lot of them linemen are faster than you, so he'll catch
Yeah.
up with you. And so you ain't gonna be doing all that dancing around that backfield trying to look for this home run threat. If you're not gonna throw, you better pull that ball down and take off. And I think that's what Williams he got to learn that the hard way. But yeah, I think out of week one, Daniels had the better game.
Trey, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Daniels had the better game. I watched the Chicago game. Preseason, everybody get caught up in, oh, he can do this in preseason. That's different. When the money's on the line, players speed up a little bit. And it takes some adjustments, to catch up to the game. It takes a couple of weeks, but Daniel, one thing I like about Williams, he showed leadership. That's important as a quarterback. You're showing leadership, even though you may not have the numbers, but you still engage, you're still supportive, and that plays dividends as the season goes along. He's going to catch up to the game, and I think his numbers will reflect that. It's going to be a toss-up as far as Rookie of the Year, because there's still some good quarterbacks, and as the season goes, once they get their timing together, they're going to be okay. I'm surprised. This is the most African-American quarterbacks that's ever started in the league at one time.
Yeah, 15 overall. Yeah, absolutely. So, no, definitely. Hopefully they can get so again, just getting acclimated to the game. Certainly looking forward to better starts for them. Last matchup. First of all, I want to give a shout out to the New Orleans Saints, who won their season opener. So I know BMU. I know he's happy that the Saints, and I think they play Dallas, if I believe, next week. So that should be a key matchup. I'm sure we'll be watching, and I'm sure if the Saints beat Dallas, then BMU is going to be he's going to invade the show just like I think he just tried to do right now. You got something to say? You back there, sir? You certainly came up. Shout out to the New Orleans Saints. This week they weren't the Aints. They said they did well. Certainly, Derek Carr, did his thing, and certainly
that Dallas pass rush on call. Let me see what he do.
Okay, we'll see.
They played the Panthers.
I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I want to see how these guys definitely shine. But I wanted to focus on again. I picked my preseason pick for the NFC South. I picked the Buccaneers, certainly to win that division. I mean, Baker Mayfield. Now again, Saquon got the NFC Offensive Player of the Week, but I mean Baker balled out, 24 for 30, 289. 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, QB quarterback rating 146.4. I mean, the guy got his money and pay some dividends. So again, that's gonna be a major New Orleans, y'all better be careful because Baker he's certainly coming into his own. This is a guy who could have very well been at the scrap heap just a couple years ago. He humbled himself. Got that break with the Rams, built himself up, got his money. Now he seems to be balling out. So I'm very surprised, but I thought he should have got the Offensive Player of the Week. But shout out to Baker Mayfield for his rebound. What do you guys think about the return of Baker, and can you think this will be sustained?
I think it's a,
Yeah.
I don't know about 4 touchdowns every week, but I think he's gonna be going a nice. He's gonna do at least 2 touchdowns a week and just be productive this year. I mean, he found a team similar to like Jared Goff up in Detroit. They on a team
Mm-hmm.
that generally wants them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So that's a lot. Um, I don't know if y'all caught it like during the draft when it was Detroit's pick, and whoever came to the stage, they actually have like a Jared Goff chant just dedicated to him. So that does a lot for a QB's confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically almost the same thing with Tampa Bay. They're not asking this dude to be a superhero. He's just playing good, solid quarterback play. And he has a number one receiver, Mike Evans, just Mr. Steady, Mr. Reliable down there.
Yeah.
So he has receiving. He says, I think they're going to be the favorites again. Atlanta got more attention because of Kirk Cousins, but I think
Kirk
Buccaneers
Cousins
are
the
going to
goat.
be.
Kirk Cousins is
I don't got no. And
Kirk
Saints,
Cousins is the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time. Never seen
I
a
guess he
guy
does get
who
his
made as
contract.
much money as he did with as little results, but my man still gets paid, man. So he's a genius. He is absolutely, and that's the thing. Yeah, again, another Cleveland quarterback leaves Cleveland and has this success, but you couldn't do that when he was there. You know what I mean? So again, he certainly he wasn't a Johnny Manziel, although it was looking for a minute he could have been. And but again, Cleveland again, they're just a snakebit franchise, man. So I feel for the fandom, even though I'm a Steelers fan. I still feel for the fandom of the Cleveland Browns. But Coach, what do you think? Listen, I may go out on a limb here and say this: it wouldn't surprise me if Baker Mayfield doesn't have a Pro Bowl season this year. I mean, if you look at quarterbacks, in the NFC right now. I may put Dak up there, and we'll see what Hurts does. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if he's playing like this. He puts it together a Pro Bowl type
I
resume.
think he may be an alternative.
Yeah. I think he's really done. He showed me a lot even in the playoff game last year. They lost to Detroit, but he showed me a lot in that game also. I think Detroit was just overall just better. But Trey, what do you think? Is a Pro Bowl season possible for Baker Mayfield?
If Tampa wins 11 games, yes,
Mm.
I can see that. Dak, you got your top tier, and it's hard. You can put Dak up here because his numbers are always up here, but everybody else, it's hard to say right now where they.
Yeah, it's teetering. Like I talked about Jordan
Purdy,
Love, but he's going to be battling an injury this year. I'm looking at the East. No one, Hurts. We'll see if he has a rebound year, but I think a lot of their offense is going to center around Saquon Barkley. So I don't see him, say breaking out and having a bust out year. So, but I'm just looking at the NFC, and I'm not seeing a guy's like, okay, yeah, that's definitely the guy. In the NFC outside of Dak, and even then, you got to see what happens when it comes playoff time.
I mean, but again, the NFC, that's the unique thing about football. Yes, some quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield, he was just kicked out of Cleveland. They had no patience, and some cities, the fans don't have no patience. It's just what it is. But he's found a new home in Tampa. They support him. He's doing the same things he was doing in Cleveland. But, he has top receiver, some good receivers. So, again, play calling plays a great deal. You have to play to the quarterback's talent today. You have to do that. And you have to have a balanced game. You have to run the ball at least 20 to 30 times a game in the NFL. I don't care. Unless you Patrick Mahomes. But that's one in a million. That's why he's Patrick Mahomes. But you have to have at least a 20 to 30 rushes, even if it's 3 or 4 running backs.
Yeah, exactly. Spread around. Yeah,
you try to pass the ball 45 times a game. That formula doesn't really work. It doesn't, because now you're putting your offensive line on their heels. And yeah, so it's a long season. Again, when the weather changes, you're going to need a running game. All this passing looks good till the weather changes. In Kansas City, they used to playing in the cold weather. So, yeah, until somebody stop him, it's gonna be hard.
I heard that. I heard that. All right. Think we're pretty good. We're gonna move off of NFL a little bit. We're gonna come back to it, but we want to sort of switch gears a little bit and move to the college game. So, now I don't know, Shawnee. I'm rocking your Texas Longhorns jersey today, so I'm just showing. I was hoping Dante would be here too, so they'd be to appreciate the jersey on. But wanted to move to the college game a little bit. Obviously, a lot of hype around the Colorado program. They have another game coming up, a rematch with Colorado State, who they played to the wire last year. Obviously, there were some comments made by their coach regarding the Dion and his coaching style or what have you. And just recently in last days, you had some comments that came out shortly after that game was by his wife. Has some comments for Shedeur. And I know Shedeur, he's had some comments. So I don't know, Sean, if you want to frame that a little bit in terms of what the reaction at Shedeur, some of the things he was saying. I mean, obviously the program is 1-1. They got blown out last week by Nebraska. So it's, so Colorado program, they're still sort of in that rebuilding mode. What do you see as far as the outcome of the game? And again, as far as Shedeur, it's just some of the comments he's saying. I know he's, heavily endorsed and whatnot, but, what are you thinking, regard to, some of the things that he said and just some of the, it's almost like the birds are circling around this program. At least that's the early perception I'm getting that, folks are, if they continue to stumble and, not get certainly to a bowl or something of that matter, then, people will be asking serious questions about whether or not this is long term. So what are your, thoughts on the upcoming game, the rematch, so to speak, which I'm sure will get a lot of interest because, again, and last year was a good game, very competitive game last year as well. So what do you think about this whole thing with Shedeur, the Colorado State program, and just everything involved with that?
Well, folks, for those who don't know, what the comments that Shedeur made was like during one of his recent interviews,
Mhm.
like some press conference, press session, and whatnot with the players. He basically just threw his offensive line under the bus. They was asking a question about, I believe, about Nebraska's freshman quarterback who's been, he's been getting a lot of praise these first 2 weeks. And he was like, you know, how he basically was making comments like how much time did he have, had to throw, and basically, if he had that much time to throw, he could be doing something. Or asking like what the lack of run game, and basically the comments what Shedeur ultimately was saying was basically just throwing his offensive line under the bus.
Mhm.
And so, that's of course going to be people going to be looking at that some type of way. But my whole thing with, of course, I'm rooting for Prime and just for his success. But what I'm like, what type of coaching is really going on over there? Like, I'm not expecting this team to challenge upright for the Big 12 title this year. But what you do hope to see a program, you know, 'cause I remember last year was all about, you know, after they started losing, the 4 games in a row or whatnot. Just wait till the offseason. We're gonna recruit better players. We're gonna recruit better players. That was from last year. This year, like I don't. One, y'all lost a lot of players in transfer, and y'all recruited a lot of players in transfer. So your whole turnover on his roster is just ridiculous. And but I'm seeing the same issues y'all had last year. This year. Now I understand. Okay, you may not have the players that these other high, high power FBS schools may have, but coaching, you will see that. The discipline of the players, the execution of the players. Right now, it just looks like it's just Shedeur and Travis Hunter. That's literally, and really Travis Hunter, because Shador, he running for his life every time he snaps the ball.
Right. Right.
So it's just, I'm like, you're not seeing any schemes. It's just highlights pretty much contain Hunter, and then at times you will see, I forgot the other receiver name. He would usually show up if it's like if it's a shootout, meaning the other team, they passing defense is not great neither. So if it's a shootout, then you'll see the other receivers stand out. But if it's like the other team has like some sort of defense, literally only weapon Shador has is just him and Hunter. And then the defense, that's just a whole nother thing. I know Shiloh, he's out because he broke his forearm. I think he recently had surgery on it, so I think he's
Wow.
out for the year.
Yeah.
But Shiloh wasn't making that big of a difference on the defense neither.
Right.
I know before in week 1, I was saying North Dakota State was going to win that one. I know it's not the same North Dakota State maybe a couple of years ago who was winning all those championships, but it is a program that's not going to be intimidated because they have a history of winning. And they almost pulled it off, and that's when you saw the skill players of Colorado step up. And again, it was really Shador and Hunter who led them to that. If it wasn't for Hunter and that amazing catch in it, North Dakota State would have won that game. But yeah, man, I really don't know. You just don't. And I think I made the comment nowadays, man. I don't know who is it's the Beehive or the Bayhive, whatever they call themselves. It's the Swifties, and now you might as well add the Coach Prime supporters because they up there with them. You can't mention any type of criticism to Coach Prime, or they'll get defensive and come at you. It's like you can't say anything about Colorado now. It's like y'all didn't even know this program existed 5 years ago, and now it's y'all will put on the Superman cape and just come to their rescue. So, but yeah, I don't know, man. You hear rumors about what happened if Shador and Hunter leave. Will Prime leave? I don't really know. All I really know is I'm not seeing the coaching as far as the execution on the field to show any growth on this particular squad. It's just I don't know, man. Right now, look at it. They all flash what they talking and media attention, but it is not translated on the field. Cause now it's not the fact they getting beat, dude. They getting embarrassed. So it's like, man, I don't know what y'all doing.
Yeah. Coach Berg, I want to ask you some questions from a coaching perspective, because I know one thing that that Prime I've seen done is I know he talks a lot about his staff and who he's bringing in. So he's like, these guys have all his coaching staff has pro experience. Either they played professional football or they coached at the NFL level. And it seems like he talks about essentially he's assembled like an all-star team of coaching, almost similar to what you do like when you have, when we talk about these super teams, like in sports, like in basketball, when you get these all-stars together, just because you bring a set of all-stars together doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to win when you bring in these older vets. So I'm wondering, even from just a coaching perspective, when you got these personalities, you got some big guys. Warren Sapp is on his team, closing the linemen. I forget who his OC is, but again, he was a long time coaching the NFL. But is this in fact a coaching staff, or is it just a collection of individuals? Is there in fact, from what you're seeing, a structure or a hierarchy of where there's a consistent culture throughout the board? What do you see there in terms of maybe like just his whole approach to coaching? And I know one thing he also tends to do, if you ever watch his press conferences, he always tends to have like a highlights a player of the week. So this guy, he balled out, he had stats on this guy, he's got a 4 GPA, and he just likes to sort of elevate certain guys or whatever. I know some coaches is like, look, we're all one team here, not one person's bigger than the other. But what do you think from what you're seeing in terms of just what he's been able to put together? And is this sort of, I think even KP from KC said he's assembled like an AAU type coaching staff together, rather than building like a true staff. So what do you think about that, being a coach yourself? And do you think this kind of approach to putting a staff together, yes, you can have a bunch of guys, but is it a team though? Is it coherent? Is it consistent from your perspective, from what you're seeing in terms of what makes, good teams and a good culture that then promotes winning at the end of the day?
It's a lot of ways you can look at it, Mr. Bennett. They say some of the greatest head coaches have great assistant coaches. But that's an old school way. And the names don't necessarily mean you're going to get the results on the court, because my name now, I can always let you know, man, I've been there. I've done it. What you going to do? And it's the same experience I'm having now. You have to, college, it's like from Pop Warner through college. To me, the coach's position is to inspire the players to be better than they were. I've been told coming all through my career that I'm the best player. I'm the man. But when I get to the level where guys are just as good as me, where's the next gear? Where's the next level that I can go? And that may have to come from the coach. And just because I've had the experience and I've had the success, it doesn't always translate to every team that I coach. So you have to just sort of find a way and sort of let that be in the background. There shouldn't be nothing that I'm bringing to the media or to the front about who I've assembled, because you find some of your greatest coaches, those coaches that are just trying to get their foot in the door, they're more motivated. They're going to be coaching. And I think, at this point, we've heard enough of, Deion. I love Deion Sanders, man. I think he's a great asset to the game of college football. But now is the time to sort of take a step back and, ensure that the players are putting forth their best effort. You sort of have to do that. And I believe this wholeheartedly, and I'm always believing it. I can lose with anybody. With anybody. I can lose, but I want to win with everybody. So if you starting and for some reason you're just not fitting the bill today, listen, let me go and pull in this junior, sophomore, freshman, see what they can do. At least they can give me 5 or 10 good plays. I'm not expecting them to this, you know what I'm saying? But you never know. It's always a diamond in the rough who's sitting over on the sideline. And I think right now, since they're in their third week, take a step back, allow the players to play, bring it, use your roster. You got 60, 70 players, use them all, because we can see that, hell, the line ain't doing nothing. You got all these 6'6", 6'5". Shit, I can rush around there. You know what I'm saying? So what does that mean that you brought these guys in? What does that mean? Am I, as a coach, what am I doing to make these guys believe that they can get the job done? It's something ain't clicking somewhere. And like I said before, Deion may not be there after his little contract is over with.
Yeah.
He's going to have to win. Right. He's going to have to go to a bowl game or 2 just to continue. It is the same with everybody. His name is not going to carry him just 20 years or 10 years through Colorado if he ain't winning. So.
Right. Yeah, and it just seems like there's a lot of, again, he does a lot to, I think this even goes back to his JSU days. Obviously, he wants to bring a lot of exposure to his program, give these guys exposure that they never saw before. And I think it worked great, certainly at JSU, the partnerships that he was able to get, the upgraded facilities that he was able to get, especially given the conditions just of the school itself, and certainly what he was able to bring there. Not sure if this same kind of approach is going to apply at this level. Like, the idea is, okay, I want you to go pro, or my objective is that you to play professional ball rather than win. This strategy, I think, worked for a while with forget my man Calipari from Kentucky. He was known for that. That was his pitch. It's like, you come to play for me at Kentucky or wherever I'm at, you're gonna go pro. And he won, but his teams overall kind of underwhelmed when it came to like national. I think he might have one national championship that he won with some man plays for the Lakers, the Brow. He got
Davis.
yeah, with Davis. He's got one championship, but again, a lot of those teams that were expected to have deep tournament runs or whatever, upset in the first rounds and whatnot. So it seems like that strategy of focusing on the individual, making sure that guy goes pro versus building a culture and a program that promotes winning, that then if you win, then you'll get the exposure. But everything from the branding to the uniforms to the all-star coaching staff to the endorsement deals. You see him and his son in the KFC commercials now. Again, this type of, I don't know if this type of atmosphere, and again, I want nothing but the best for certainly for him and for his players, but is this focus on branding and exposure, is it coming at the cost of winning? Or the fact that maybe he's trying to do it a different way than what has traditionally worked? Is it going to run its course, especially if they don't win? How long is Colorado going to go with that? Like I said, especially if they lose, because again, it was a close game last year. You just said that the other son is out for the year, and they have some nice Deion cell phones too. Yeah, he puts his branding on everything. I mean, it's like every detail, very meticulous in terms of the uniforms and I think they play in a different uniform like almost every week. Always showcasing. So a lot of this is coming up, but if they lose to Colorado State, which was a competitive game last year, and I'm not sure if they're that much better than they were last year, what if they lose? So
They worse.
Yeah, so if that comes place, and again, you got this contrast again, comments from the wife talking about Shedeur was a B, essentially is what she said when he came up flashing his watch or something after the game, whatever. So I guess she remembered that they took the post down off of Twitter. But is this sustainable? And because not to be pessimistic, I don't know if he goes another year, because I know his sons are going to be out clearly at this draft, as well as the wide receiver and defensive back. He's going to be gone. So is this running course? And then the next team, because he already said that he doesn't want to. He said he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to coach at the pro level. So I don't know if he wants to do that. So again, will another college team pick him up? With USC or some other program, or Florida State for that matter. That's because their season's done. If any time was going to be, if he had any monicum of success with Colorado, I would think Florida State would be, on paper, that'd be like the ideal situation for him, and I think it would definitely be an upgrade over Colorado. But what do you guys think about that?
Well, his success at Jackson State, basically, his whole thing is the reason why he was able to have the success he did at Jackson State, because he was able to recruit better players, period. I mean, Travis Hunter was a 5-star recruit. I think he was supposed to be, he could have went to Florida State, but he wanted to go play for Prime. So he was able to do that at Jackson State in the conference of SWAC. So that's why they was able to do their thing there. And then now when he's in I don't even know if you can call it Power 5 school no more, because the conference is so screwed up now. One of the Power 5 conference only has 2 teams. But now that he moved to a Power 5 conference, I guess, in the FBS, because he was at the FCS. Now he went to an FBS school. He doesn't have the best team, the best players on the field right now. And so, I'll put it like this: just because you was a Hall of Fame player, that'll make you gonna be a good coach. And I'm not even talking about Prime, because he's been coaching, from basically his sons, but from high school on up.
Right.
Warren Sapp. Now what coaching staff was Warren Sapp ever a part of? And
Mhm.
also you bring in Warren Sapp to try to coach your D line. And the reason I was saying it's worse because I think last year they was averaging. I know it's only what 2 games for them right now. Last year they basically averaged 60, just under 65 yards a game rushing.
Mhm.
This year they barely go over 30,
Mhm.
and I don't really see that improve because they don't have no presence at running back. The offensive line look like as soon as you play snap that the defensive line just teleports to Shador. They don't have
Right.
to worry about going through the offensive line. So it's it's basically his success at Jackson State because he had better players than the other SWAC schools.
Right. And I think
And
even when him getting that star, I'm having a brain freeze right now. Getting that star player, that was around like the
Hunter,
George, yeah, Hunter. That was around like the George Floyd
yeah, yeah,
situation. So I
that
think there
whole
was a
2020 with whole George Floyd, then you had the
right. So I
pandemic and
think
all that. Yeah.
you had a lot of players who were thinking that they didn't want to go play for these power PWIs. So I think it was like if
Exactly.
under normal
Exactly.
circumstances, I don't know certainly if Jackson State would have gotten him under that, but you had not. It was happening in football and it was also happening in basketball, where you had these players that were going to
Yeah, yeah.
these schools just almost out of
HBCUs.
protest to say, yeah, let me go to an HBCU where I'm going to be better appreciated, and why should I let these guys take, especially when you had some of the insensitive comments coming out of coaches like Dabu Sweeney and some of the some of the backlash that those guys are putting on from those PWIs. So I think that was an environment that he certainly landed, certainly a star player, and I think that just made that thing work. I just don't think on a regular basis if that's going to be able to continue. But again, I wish him well. I'll definitely be watching this game. I think this. I want to talk about this. So apparently, Mr. Sharp, I guess there's some
uh,
salacious video leaks or something like that that I really don't want to get into on this show. Let-
Yeah, I'll call
BM,
someone.
you'd be the one, wouldn't you?
Hey man, hey Shannon got man. Somebody hacked him right in the middle of his stroke game, brother.
Oh my God.
And he in there talking to her. He calling her name. I said, "What kind of shit is this?"
Oh my gosh. Oh man. Say that for the after hours.
Yep.
Oh man, I'll have to do some further research on the show so we could do this in a respectable manner. But yeah, these phones, they say these phones don't sleep, man. So I gotta be careful.
and whatever
What's
he was
going on?
doing, he was earning a paycheck, and
Man, yeah.
apparently, the salary
Turn
came
your
out.
turn your phones completely off, gentlemen. If you don't want
Leave
that
that live alone.
I hear you, bro. I hear you, man. But
I would
But last segment I want to get into, and I was hoping, again, certainly appreciate, like I said, Casey from Kansas City, could tell you, I know she dropped through tonight as well. Certainly appreciate you folks who came in for a minute to say hi to us. We appreciate you guys showing up. One last segment I want to get into, I was hoping that Trey Taylor might be on because I know he's a former police officer, and certainly I wouldn't mind getting his perspective when it comes to this matter. But obviously there was another big game certainly over the weekend. Miami played Jacksonville, and certainly Miami pulled it out. Tyreek had a great game, but why you come in the background? That don't even look right, bro. Take that off. I'm like, what is he even looking at, man? That don't even look right.
Trying to figure out what's going on. Trying to
That
figure out what's
don't
going
even
on.
look right. Anyhow.
You filthy motherfucker.
You trying to figure out what's going on, man.
But being,
Oh Lord.
you're not right, man.
That's when he saw that Instagram live, and oh hell, man.
Oh my gosh. You ain't right.
Gotta come up
You ain't
with
right,
some
BMU.
yards.
That's not even fair. But in any event, certainly going up to the game with the Dolphins. So obviously Tyreek, apparently he was driving to the game, was near the stadium, and I think again, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he might have been going maybe 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. But he got stopped. He was driving, I think it was a black Lambo or something like that. He was driving, and there was an altercation with the police. Pulled him out of the car, and hey, boss man, what's up? Pulled him out of the car, and wrestled him down to the ground. There was just a lot of commotion there. A lot of it was taped. I mean, obviously the police, they released, the Dade County Police, they released the footage. Seemed like some very hostile treatment, and then some of his teammates who were also on their way to the game were trying to help him out, and they were told to stay away, whatever, and basically telling the cops that, look, we'll go where you want us to go, but we're not leaving our teammate. And some of those guys were put in handcuffs and placed under arrest. So it seemed like the whole thing escalated, apparently over a moving violation, and yet again what we've seen once again, where it doesn't matter who you are, what your status is as a player, what you drive or whatever, certainly you can be subject to this sort of treatment. Now, again, was Tyreek a saint in the matter, in terms of did he fully comply with the police? And again, these are discussions that we all have had privately with our family members and whatnot in terms of, complying with the police. Certainly that, I've heard commentary in terms of, certainly the actions of the police, even from the initial pull up, that they did a lot of things that were illegal, and certainly can factor into either their future employment or prosecution, because of what they did. That the police officer that was the main instigator, certainly anything, he's been put on desk duty. And so certainly there have been statements that have been released by Tyreek. He's been interviewed. The Miami Dolphins put out a report. The police union of Miami-Dade County put some stuff out. So once again, we're dealing with another issue, but again, with a high-profile athlete who's literally near the stadium. So again, it seemed like none of that really mattered in terms of the situation. I get, trying to maintain safety standards and whatnot. If he was going twice the speed limit or whatever, but I thought, from what I heard, it was like 10 miles over the speed limit. But as you get closer to the game, they're trying to lock some stuff down. So certainly things just escalated to a level where they didn't need to be, and now that seems to be more the conversation. But having said that, he still went out and he balled out. Had a big game and scored a long touchdown, and in the touchdown celebration, he basically mimicked being handcuffed. So I mean, he's a great player. He had knee surgery and everything, still came in balled out. So certainly his talent certainly is demonstrated once again. But how did you guys see the incident? And again, I don't know if anyone's in law enforcement. Certainly, I'd like to get always that perspective on that. I don't know if there's anyone in chat. If you have that, maybe we could drop you the link. And you can certainly share your comments on it. We'd love to hear from a legal perspective, a law enforcement perspective, how that situation was handled. But you guys have kids. I don't have sons, but I know you guys do. And we talk about these conversations that we seem to have or need to have with our kids. So just how'd you guys see that situation, how to play out, the fallout, and the aftermath from that, and where do you think this conversation goes? In the future. So, Sean, if you want to take that on, and then, have Coach, close out with his thoughts.
Well, I think when it basically, when the police came out with a statement basically saying that, basically ultimately backing their officer.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was before the video came out that Tyreek was not being cooperative with the cops, and
right.
basically they was just standing with their officer. And then today, Tyreek had a press conference, and he basically admitted that he could have. Cause you remember in the video when the cop when they initially came, I guess they knocked on his window, and that's
right.
what Tyreek was saying. Why you don't be banging on my window like that? Don't be banging.
Right.
He kept repeating that.
Right.
And then he wouldn't let it. He let his window down. Then he let it back up.
Right. Gave his information, his ID, and everything, but then he rolled it back up. But then they wanted.
So
okay.
So they in his press conference today, he admitted that he could have handled his end a little bit differently or a little bit better. But then that's when not. But he is pushing to have some sort of. He basically pushing to have that. In particular, it was really just one officer who was really the more aggressive one out the
Well,
group.
yeah. Well, we saw that even with the George Floyd thing. I mean, it was like
Yeah,
you had the one officer. He was. Everyone else was just kind of going to lead. And I don't know if that's a thing with. I mean, you got your lead officer, and you just sort of back him up on everything, or it's not common for guys to come and say, "Ho, chill."
I think he
You're
was
doing
a
too.
higher rank than the
Yeah.
other officers. In that case, they just will follow him. And but yeah, he trying to get him basically fired.
Mhm.
So, but he admitted that he could have handled his end a little bit better, but he still wants that particular officer fired. So that's
Yeah.
what he mentioned in his press conference today. Now, when it comes to the whole thing, just in general, my whole thing is there are re, basically two type of personalities when stuff like this happens. There
Mhm.
are reactive personalities and there are proactive personalities.
Mhm.
Reactive personalities tend to act really based on emotions. The more emotional they get, the more they will react. Proactive is more like they're almost like a thinker. It's like they thinking down the road of what they're gonna do, and it's not gonna be as loud as a reactive.
Mhm.
So me myself, I think I consider myself more of a proactive personality. I tend to think my way through, high
Right.
combustible moments. And my whole thing is that, and that's cool. To me, I think that's cool. My whole thing gets to when reactive personalities will start twisting. Basically, they want to hear exactly what they would do from you. They will twist your words as if you don't basically respond the way they do, you are basically letting the police off the hook.
Mhm.
So I'm saying that is like, I mean, I was debating somebody online because my whole thing is I don't I'm not excusing anything what the police did. Then again, like I said, it was a lot of time it was that one cop who was really the most aggressive. But hell,
Right.
put them all in that same boat. I'm not excusing anything they did. But my whole thing is that unfortunately in today's time, especially for black men, my whole and I think I remember saying I was hearing Shannon Sharp mention this in first take that Monday when they was talking about it. I want this whole interaction between me and the cop over as fast as possible.
Mhm.
So if you stop me, my window gonna be down. Here's my stuff. I'm trying to get this whole thing done as quickly as possible, so there's no chance of hopefully nothing will escalate. And if there's anything that I feel like was done in a disrespectful way, I will see you in court. I will fight
Mhm.
it later, but I want this whole thing over with, you know. And reactive personalities will take that as basically you should have conceded to the cops and whatnot. So they'll take that as you excusing the cops. I'm like, nah, I'm not excusing the cops. I will deal with them later.
Right.
I'm trying to get out of this
Get
current
home.
situation because as you see with Tyreek, all he really did was let the window up, and then that one cop got so frustrated, and then opened up his butterfly door and yanked him out the car, and
Mhm.
all the handcuffs on the ground and all this stuff,
Well, the weird
and
thing, he was handcuffed, and it looked
yeah,
like he was talking to the other officer, and the guy came from behind. And then the
mm-hmm,
guy, that's why we were saying, look, man, I had knee
forced him
surgery,
down,
and just forced him
yeah.
down. It didn't, he was already, what danger did he pose at that particular time when you already
And
got
that
him in
was that
handcuffs?
one cop, I believe, who
Yeah,
he was just
he was wilding.
You could, yeah, you could tell he had like a short fuse for whatever, and those are the ones you really worry about in the police industry,
Mhm.
because the little thing you could do, because the thing, because Tyreek Hill's window was dark tint, and I think somebody brought this point up, which is an accurate point. You had the window down, you gave your stuff, but then you let it up, and it's dark tint. They can't see you.
Mhm.
With a cop, obviously with the short temper he had, he probably would have pulled out his gun, because now he can't see what you're doing in there. So it's just a whole lot of stuff. Unfortunately, you got to keep in mind that you will try your best to minimize, just so you can get out this situation, Scott, well, I guess alive, and then deal with it later.
Mhm.
So and I think Kyrie. I mean, I don't want why I want to keep saying Kyrie. I think Tyreek brought up a good point. He's saying, what happened if I was not Tyreek Hill?
Mhm.
So it's unfortunate. I don't really know I don't think I could really think of, man. You got to do I guess you can kind of control what you can control,
Mhm.
because unfortunately, at that moment in time, the cop has literally all the power.
Yeah.
There's like really nothing you can really do. So you can get mad and make a scene and go off, but unfortunately, they can go off, and then that's when stuff tends to happen. And so it's like, what can you do
Right.
besides just try to do your best to try to hurry get this thing over with, and I see you in court later.
Right. Right. Coach, what are your comments on that? I know you have sons, and so again, I'm sure you've
Hold
had
on
that.
real quick, Coach. I see Black Man. He made a comment about passing a law to the finish. I don't know, man. You gonna probably see a whole lot more people on the news if you do that.
Ooh.
Try to feel yourself.
But it's tough because I mean, there was like I watched several I like watching these videos on you. They got these legal experts, and they'll go through they'll play back the videos like frame by frame what the officer did wrong here, why that was a violation, this, that, and the third. So it's like they sort of break it down. So I mean, clearly there was legal precedent for Tyreek to have a case against the officers for their treatment. Now again, would the police be so swift to put these guys on suspension or their potential firing? Would the Dolphins have come out if it was just give me my ticket and keep on? Nobody would even know what this is. And then would those officers then be doing that too, as you said earlier, Shawnee, if guys who aren't Tyreek Hill but look like Tyreek Hill? And, would these guys continue to be doing what they're doing? Not just them, but again, other officers, certainly within that Miami-Dade Police Department. But, Coach, what are your thoughts on this situation? And any lessons, certainly to be learned from this, just from your perspective, sir?
Yeah, it's a whole lot in this one video. I relate this to the young lady who was just deleted a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
This cop had a similar tattoo. He was tatted up all over his hands.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Hispanics, they don't really like black people down in Florida like that. They don't. One, getting pulled over, I agree with Shawnee. I want this incident to be over as fast as possible. You're in a high caliber car. You got your windows up. You were speeding. Yes, they always enforce the law against black people. And but also it depends on how you relay and how you speak to the officer. I get pulled over. I know I'm speeding. I'm sorry, man. Listen, I was thinking about the game. We got a big game. It's my first game. I'm excited. I'm trying to give the little cushion I can give just so he can say, okay, man, listen. Okay, let me write you. Give me the ticket. I appreciate it. Leave my window down. I like to hear what they're saying. I like to, once I get pulled over, if I'm on the highway, I need to hear the sounds. I need to no telling what they're saying, but then today, I'm gonna record when I get pulled over. When I get pulled over, first thing I do is go to my phone recorder. I'll set it there. I'll put my phone on the dash. So
right.
I ain't even got my phone. Everybody can hear whatever. I can hear whatever. But also I look at it from a crazy point of view. What if these officers have some money? They play fantasy too, don't they? Don't they put money on? Don't they bet on the games too? And you can get this player rattled and throw him off a little bit. I'm not saying that that's what they did, but officers, they do play fantasy and all of that too. So
You say
just a
fans too.
possibility. Tyreek, he loves to be on social media too. This is a moment. He's gonna have numbers, and I'm trying to get to the stadium. That's my main focus. I'm gonna leave my window down. And here's the thing about when you buy cars like that are already tinted, you better know the law in that state. Really, you better know the law. Don't think you can. They're gonna pull you over, and it's just what it is. It's just unfortunate, that it happened like it did. I think they were a little too aggressive. Once you get him hang, they had his knee in his back.
Right.
They did all that. Tyreek, roll your window down. You ain't even got to get out of the car. But once they tell you get out, and they violated because they reached in the car, opened the door, threw him down. You get him handcuffed, the threat is over. But they don't treat us like that. The threat was over once he handcuffed. But, he kept talking, and they don't like when you talk for some reason. But I'm glad everything is on video. I think the police department are going to do what they need to do. At this point, Tyreek, just be quiet, play football, let the organization get in front of it, and you just get out there and become an all-pro again. Other than that, for the people who are not Tyreek Hill, set y'all asses up when y'all get pulled over.
Right.
Shut the hell up. I don't give a damn if they was wrong. Shut the hell up and deal with it on the back end. Turn your record on. Y'all record girls fighting and people fighting and dumb shit. Record that shit. That's all you got to do. And then you can let your attorney sort it out later. But other than that, man, get home to y'all family, man.
Yeah.
Trey, you brought up a point with because of who Tyreek is. One thing about it, if you are a known individual, you probably don't have to worry about turning your phone in because most likely there's going to be somebody out there who's going to be filming you. They just, they quick to, as soon as they see a celebrity or not, that camera just comes on automatically. So they see it and they recognize with the cops, you might have like several cameras filming you. So that's, I guess, like you admit, if you not the average person won't have that benefit per se. So you got to be mindful, of your actions. And unfortunately, it's almost like you have to make yourself small just so you can leave there intact. It's unfortunate. Like I said, I really don't know what to really you can do. You and they have the power. They have the power. So
yeah. My interest in this, I want to see, because obviously again the Dolphins came out with a statement. You got the owner Ross. I want to see how that dynamic works out, because for a long time, especially after the George Floyd murder, you had the NFL, a lot of players, they put a coalition together and they got some money, I think from the league, like $100 million or something like that, to fund stuff, but never heard an owner necessarily get out in front of it and use his influence, because obviously, the Dolphins in that owner, obviously they're very influential in the region. I'm curious to see how this plays out in regards to the politicians, in regards to just the swiftness which this is dealt, especially if you get the owner, because look, he's saying, look, I got hundreds of millions of dollars into these players, and his voice is going to, I think, carry a lot of weight too. So I just want to see how that dynamic plays out, more so than what Tyreek or any other player would be able to do in that particular situation. But I mostly agree as far as the, again, getting to your destination and living to certainly fight another day. And I think also just being straight with your story. I mean, the only thing I think that hurt Tyreek a little bit was his initial press conference says, look, I didn't say anything. I didn't curse, which he clearly did, and just his behavior wasn't as he described initially. Like, so the story changed when he saw the tape, I guess, and was probably advised to, advised to change up the story a little bit. So again, if you're gonna make that kind of statement, you need to make sure that you keep your back straight, because anybody, especially in legal or lawyers, they're going to use your words against you. So so that's something that's very important if you want to be an advocate or a voice, as he said, for better policing or whatever. You got to have your facts straight, because that's what people do, is try to twist your words and use them against you. But again, I thought even just more egregious. I thought the cops, just the way they treated the other players who were simply just looking after a teammate. Say, hey, I'm just not leaving my guy. And again, why are you going to handcuff those guys? That doesn't make. In fact, one of the guys they hold, the big guy, he's like man of the year NFL and all that. So, I mean, what threat is he going to be to you in that situation? So there definitely seemed to be an abuse of power, at least from my observation. But I just hope that like I said, but I'll be watching. To see if an owner will get involved. And I also thought the coach's perspective I thought was interesting, because he basically said, look, even though my father's black, like, I've never had to deal with this because of how I look. And so, so he's like, but obviously he's been around players who've shared that perspective, and he's just kind of like, he said he kind of felt like an outsider looking in, because again, he doesn't get that kind of profiling just based on his looks, even not necessarily what his DNA says he is, and he doesn't express that way. I'll just say that. But definitely, it seems like the way he had a very emotional press conference himself on dealing with the subject and or looking at it in such a way that maybe hits close to home, like the way it did with such a profile player on their team, someone that important to their team. So in a lot of ways, this was again, unfortunate. Wish it didn't happen. But yeah, I mean, certainly he could have handled the situation, I think, a bit better, or certainly not to bring as much attention to it. And yeah, I mean, you teach your kids. I know Coach would. You've dealt with a lot of young men and again, your own sons and whatnot. So I'm sure you teach them in terms of comply and yes, or say as little as possible and things of that nature and whatnot. So these are conversations that we've all either been told to us or we've talked to others about. And but in any situation, make sure you do as best you can. That again, you can certainly live and fight another day with it. But with that, and certainly again, we may visit this again next week. We have like I said, next time Trey Taylor gets on, certainly wouldn't mind getting his perspective, or even maybe on Friday. Not sure what the barbershop convo is going to be, but maybe this might be something to come up in the barbershop that we can possibly talk about as well.
Well, Mr. Ben, I was going to read this comment that OB32 put.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm seeing it, but I didn't get yours. Go ahead.
He was like, Hill was wrong and made the people who, made the people who had his back look bad. Black men must learn accountability. We must quit following rap and grow up. Black women graduate at higher rates and are raising the standard. I guess I don't have any data, I guess, to blame it on rap.
Wow.
But I see what he's getting at. I don't really know. I can't really blame rap. I just really think I think like I was going back to the personalities that I brought up. I mean, there's a lot of black folks who have like a more reactive personality. So when they get upset and found emotional foundation and whatnot, they gonna lash out and they feel like it's justifiable, even because they are currently being done wrong. And we're not trying to say that's a bad thing. You being done wrong, so you can't just tell them to turn off their emotions. It's just unfortunate, and when we're talking about this particular topic, you have zero power versus somebody who has all the power at that moment in time.
Yeah.
And you don't know how they will respond. And so if you react, they will react, And you can clearly see now, cops nowadays, it's like they've trigger finger is just so itchy. It's quick.
Yeah.
They have no process. They just, if you react and it gets taken to that level, it's unfortunately it can go to that extreme.
Yeah. Yeah. But even, with the comment, let's be honest, man, it doesn't necessarily have a higher percentage whether men or women. Women are just as irate with the police also getting pulled over. We've seen that they videotape themselves talking stupid to the police.
Yeah.
My thing is this: get home. I don't care. If you know you were speeding, shut the hell up, get the damn ticket, pay the damn little $50 ticket, move the hell on. Whoever you are, listen, man, everybody has to be accountable. You're right. Be accountable, yes. But we've seen plenty of videos where they videotaping themselves, where they just talking stupid to the police. And just because, listen, they going to college don't mean they graduating. It's a difference. I'd rather not send my son to college if he can save $70, $80, $100,000 and still make the same amount of money as the woman who spent 4 years to make $42,000. So it is what it is, man. Yes, we all have to be accountable. I'll say this: once you reach a certain age, pull your pants up, buy your ass a belt, stop wearing tennis shoes every day. Yeah, that's grow up. If you want to figure it out,
that and
put down football and figure it out.
Yeah, that you're wearing the wife beater, and he fit a profile, But then then there's that question of again, he's an NFL player, he's not a lawyer or an attorney. But again, this might be a good conversation. Again, Friday barbershop, maybe as a subtopic on the show. Maybe if guys want to reconvene on this and join us on Friday, we can have a conversation about that. But again, it definitely proves that, again, your status and even your name, because I think he might have said something to the effect that who I am, sort of deal. And some people, again, when they amped up, it doesn't matter. You're already driving a car that's more than what they make in 5 years, and you can okay, cool. We can talk about that on Friday, and let's have a discussion about it, and keep it civil, and get some viewpoints, and again, let's get some perspectives from a lot of different guys, especially, and again, I would love to hear guys from law enforcement, because this is one of the higher cases that I probably heard in a while. I mean, obviously, guys have gotten arrested for DV and different things of that nature, but this one of the first ones I've heard of in a while anyway, of this kind of high profile that's captured in real time.
Yeah. But listen, I don't want to cut you off, but let's be fair. A couple of weeks ago, I think early July, late June, they had the Players Championship.
The golfer, yeah.
And the golfer got pulled over. He didn't say shit. He got out of his car. He was quiet. Okay.
But he still got detained as well.
They can handcuff him, and it wasn't a big deal. He wasn't giving all of this extra lip, So
yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. I mean, so obviously there's accountability certainly for the person being charged or being detained, and what to expect from our law enforcement. But like I said, what I'm really interested in is seeing how this billionaire's influence in that community, how long does it go? Because obviously, when you get, because that they say that's when things would really change once you start getting the billionaires. Imagine if this happened to a Dallas guy. Imagine if this happened to Dak Prescott or someone like that. What would Jerry's response be at that time, and how would it be dealt with? So again, when powerful people in powerful positions, when they start to flex, we see how that power goes. But again, some of that we can talk about on Friday, and hopefully, if I'm fortunate enough to lead that conversation, I'll be more than happy to do it, and certainly welcome you guys to join us there. But with
if that happened to Dak Prescott, I think Jerry will be a whole lot more pissed off if that happened to Tony Romo than Prescott. But you hear the reports how close him and Romo were. So
I'm just wondering if that would have happened before he signed the contract or after. Jerry, I'll put about
Jerry,
60
he
mil.
might
I'll put about
have some,
60
yeah.
million in there. So I'm definitely gonna step up
He
now.
put it in that contract somewhere. If you bring shame to the organization, we void the rest of the contract.
That's it. That's it. See, that little extra note in there. But with that, just closing thoughts on my end. Again, this is a boxing weekend. Haven't talked about boxing for a while, but again, we're going to the fall. Lots of matches coming up this weekend. You have Canelo Alvarez is fighting for the light 168-pound title against this guy Edgar Berlanga, who's moving up from middleweight. It's a fight card on the zone. Lots of good fights on the undercard and whatnot on the zone. So again, for you fight fans, again, this Saturday is being held in Vegas. So again, that might be worth checking out. I haven't purchased a pay-per-view fight in a while, so I may actually pick that up and check it out. Some boxing. I think you have a card come up the following. I think the following week you have another fight card coming up, and I think later this month you have Anthony Joshua fighting for the heavyweight championship against. I forgot the guy's name. Dan. I think his name is Dan. But two British guys. They're fighting in Wembley. Again, this is probably going to be the biggest fight for the British heavyweight for the IBF heavyweight championship. But in terms of two Brits fighting in Wembley, holds 100,000 people, and they're going to be fighting for the championship there. So certainly that's a big fight worth seeing. And I know you're going to have a rematch with Fury and Usyk later in the year. And I think the winners of those two will probably square off sometime maybe early next year. But certainly if you are a fight fan, then, certainly this weekend, and look forward to several fights happening almost on a weekly basis. But starting this weekend and for every week after that, it seems like there's a fight card going on. So lots of interest there. But Shawnee, your closing thoughts?
For the most part, I think it was a good going back to the NFL. I think it was a good action in week one. You clearly see, especially in week one, the lack of chemistry throughout the league between quarterbacks and receivers because the lack of playing time in the preseason. Many starters are not playing anymore, and in some teams, we brought up the Bengals, for example. Their prime receiver was not playing. He
Right.
holding out. Cowboys in the same boat. I'm watching that game. Lamb looked like he had some good catches, but also some rust because he missed some time. So you just see that now. I don't remember if holdouts were as frequent in the past. I know it happened because Emmitt Smith thing is a common one.
Yeah, weren't
But
they
I
like
don't.
2 or 3 games into the season before they got that off?
Yeah. He didn't show up, and after
I
starting
think they
off
went 1 and 2
0-2,
or something like that. It was it
yeah,
was like
they quickly came, and he was pissed off because Jerry knew what he did, and he still didn't want to pay him. But I just don't remember the frequency of nowadays. It's almost you see a whole lot of players. It's almost like you used to see players holding out when they had like 1 year left on their contract and was trying to get this extension. Now that you see players, they don't even finish their current contract, like 2 years remaining, and they trying to get an extension. So you seeing a whole lot of players just holding out. It just feel like the frequency of it more is a whole lot more than it used to be in the past. I
right.
know it happened in the past. I just don't remember it happening this much.
Mhm.
And so now you have that, and you couple with that with less preseason games. Who knows? There may be another preseason game being taken away because if they go to this 18 game schedule,
Mhm.
and so that's why you see a lot of the rust in week one. I think you're gonna see rust again in week two, but it's gonna be interesting to see if these fan bases, if they respective teams start off 0-2, how much they are to be, crying like the sky falling after just an 0-2 start when it's still 15 games left in the season. So
Gotcha. Awesome. Coach, as always, close us out, sir.
Hey man, again, man, let me give a shout out to my little 7th grade football team.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
3-game winning streak, man. They
That's
top
what's up.
They playing some good football, man. So I appreciate them, man. One more thing, man. I interviewed for a girls basketball head coach position today. That went pretty well. I'll know tomorrow if I got the position. But yeah, I was excited, man. The coaches, I interviewed with the AD and another coach, man. They seemed like they was interested in me coming on. So I'll know tomorrow. But again, man, this is football season, man. All you non-football players, man, just sit back and enjoy the damn games. Don't be all in your feelings early in the season. Let the season play out, man. Let the season play out. Let the players play. Salute to all the brothers now that's playing quarterback, man. Just study the damn game. Keep y'all asses out the clubs. No turning up. No making it rain. Get your sleep. Go to practice. And be ready for Sunday, man, because we all rooting for you, man. We all got something on the line, you and everybody's league. So protect yourself, man. And if you get pulled over between now and Sunday, shut your ass up, roll down your window, pull out your driver's license, your registration, and go home, man. Get home, man.
Do you pull your stuff? I know guys, like, especially depending on where you at, you have all that stuff on the dash. Your hands exposed at all times.
I just have it ready, man. By the time they get out of the car, I'm already like, man, you know what? My bad, man. I give them some little cockamamie. I was daydreaming, saw a big booty, anything. But
I remember last couple of years ago, I was driving through the South. We were in South Carolina, we were on our way to Charleston, so I was driving through there. I had my wallet, my phone, everything, like right on the dash. It was on the dash because I know a cop told me one time, it's like, you don't want to be doing, like, so you stop, you don't want to be doing all this other, because you might think, okay, is he reaching for a gun or something? So I'm like 10-2 on the wheel. If they want my ID and stuff, it's right there. I'm reaching for it right here. So someplace, I'm in Jersey, so I don't deal with it as much. But yeah, in the South, I got I try to keep it ultra safe there. But again, we may talk about some of that on Friday too.
Gen Xers understand that shit.
There you go. But with that, again, thank you guys once again for joining us. Certainly looking forward to another show next week. Another review on certainly next Wednesday. Enjoy the football. Enjoy your weekend. And our brother Dante, again, keep doing your thing and whatnot. Looking forward to certainly having you on the show next week. Until next time, you guys have a great day. Have a great night. Take care. God bless. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
It's going down like a rodeo. It's going down like a toy so. It's going down like a rodeo. It's going down like a toy so. I hope you're all here for the ride. Come inside, cause it's going down tonight. Only here for one night, no lies. Come and saddle up a ride. Need a yeehaw, you know how here for one night and we just wanna party. In a fast car, a Ferrari. It's a push start, I don't need a car key. Slide on Broadway, and it's gnarly. On a late night, but I'm not tardy. Right on time for the parties and Barbies. Strolling with a truck of green like a golf swing. Hey, 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 hey. Bottles on ice, mess around these skates. Hey, hey, hey. If I gotta say it twice, then I got nothing to say. It's going down like a rodeo. It's going down like a toy so. It's going down like a rodeo. It's going down like a toy so. I hope you're all here for the ride. Come inside, cause it's going down tonight. Only here for one night, no lies. Come and saddle up a ride. Come and kiss me up, it's going down like a train with no brakes, I'm not slowing down.